later on in the show, if you don't mind. And we're gonna explain a little bit about what's been happening in the world. So to catch us all up, for the past since the reset, there's been a little bit of um, how do you say? Yes, quite. It's been interesting, as Pick 311 says. I won't put words in your mouth. Apologies. Yes, and quite so, quite so. So at first, uh, everything was starting up a little slow, and then, well, the stage acts began again, and that attracted the crowds, and the crowd sifting through sand loosened up past memories, including some from Tempe, Arizona, and you have to make an apology. There was a mistake. We said Tempe, Arizona, but in fact we meant Tempest. Different city. Not a city. In fact, it is Tempest. It is the play The Tempest by Shakespeare. That's William Shakespeare. And, well, certain sets of what we know as the Under were used in the production of The Tempest in the Decameron. So, uh, the spirits of those actors apparently was trapped with that and have been reset as well, so you can expect to see them wherever you see sets of Tempest, you may see the actors as well. We'd like to say this is brought to you by Scott Corp. Scott Corp, the creators of the top-rated metaverse, not Tempe, Arizona, but Scottsdale, in fact. Yes, and I think everyone knows that, but you're right, Pick 311. That is very important to note where this all fits together. Yes, perfect. And in fact, we'd like to bring up our first guest. Our first guest today has been around the Under for a long, 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 long time. It is one of the original Krobs from the Krobiverse. Please welcome Burger Krob to the stage. Please have a seat. Burger Krob, welcome to the Pick 311 podcast. Pick 311 podcast, hosted by Pick 311. I'm not a host. I'm more of a conduit. Yes. So please make yourself comfortable. We have a couple of chairs for you. Terrific. Now, we wanted to get down to the bottom of what everyone was wondering about this place, how to make it make sense. So, any questions you have for Pick 311, he will answer them completely honestly to you, and we will get to the bottom of this on this very podcast today, celebrating Under Day, which is kind of like Earth Day, but not at all. Now, questions for Pick 311, please go ahead. Oh, yes. Very interesting question. Pick 311, care to answer? They're thinking. Ah. You know, I had my theories, but I'm glad to hear from the pig themselves that indeed, indeed, that is what is going on here. And I feel like I've been illuminated now, and I will know this information going forward, and it will help with every encounter and everything that happens from this point on. Thank you so much for this question. We will have this in the show notes for our listeners at home, and they can all pay attention. For our listeners at home, it appears a ghost has just floated into our place. They look very creepy, and they are an anomaly to what we understand as physics in this universe, but what can you do? What indeed can you do? Please welcome our next guest, the floating weird ghost creature. We're gonna please join us on up here, Ghost. If you do, in fact, use chairs or however you make that happen, and sure. Okay, great. I see. For our listeners at home, it appears that in a past universe this was known as Puddles the Mare, but we don't know if we've reset that, if that is still a thing or not, but Pig 311 wanted me to explain this to our listeners at home. Okay, too much information. Now, I see you are wearing a mask that we issued a correction earlier this podcast. That is indeed the Tempest mask, not Tempe, Arizona. Arizona, a completely different metaverse, the top-rated one by our sponsor, Pest.com. But for the Tempest mask, as we explained earlier, the memories of the sets that were used for Tempest in the Decameron are still very, very much here, and therefore, in the reset, have included the spirits of the actors as well. They have been trapped in that space, which may be good news for you if you've seen it, and if you haven't seen Tempest, then you might get a chance to catch a little bit of it here and there, if you are in the garden at the right time, right place, but apparently this is a thing. So, terrific. Excellent. Very important to note. As to why that makes complete sense, Pig 311 will explain right now. Exactly. Very succinctly put. Well, so enjoy Tempest and enjoy the Crobs. This has been what has been happening so far. The MC hit a reset, and they've been first stage acts, and the stage acts attracted the Crobs, and now the Crobs have sifted through sand and unlocked some memories, and including the successful takeover of the Tempest stage. Excellent. Our last but not least guest is someone with a boot on their head. Please welcome someone with a boot on their head. I'll play more music, but having trouble playing. Welcome. So you have a boot on your head? Yes. Okay, great. Terrific. You have an onion and an egg and green flames coming from your mask. For our listeners at home, we'll put that recipe in the show notes. And now, you have a boot on your head. Why? Who knows? Yeah. And you have an onion, yeah? And you're eating the onion. And then you're restoring the onion. That is terrific. Well, this is very good news because Pig 311 is a fan of pickled onions. Pig 311 was indeed the pig who saw the atomic explosion and thought, that looks like an onion. Fun fact. Okay. Yes, Pig 311, I will let you speak for yourself from now on with this important information. And I'll put all of it in the show notes. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank our guests, Burger Crob, Tempest, Angel of Death floating about, and Boot on their head, who makes, eats, and restores onions. Again, this has been the Pig 311 podcast. Pig 311 podcast hosted by Pig 311, the sole survivor of Bikini Atoll. Bikini Atoll, the site of the Baker experiment gone wrong, which kind of started this whole cataclysmic chain of events, which created everything. I am not the host. I am merely just a conduit. And thank you all for listening to the Pig 311 podcast. I think that was quite good. I think that was went really well. You know, I thought there'd be more listeners. You know, but I guess there's just there are listeners. I thought there'd be more people in the audience. So did you really used to be mayor of this place? Is that what happened? Was that the reset and then it just it kind of went away? And it's okay. Yeah. And the burger crop. So the burger is significant. Right? You know, we always have the best conversations after we stop recording for the podcast. We should make this part of the podcast. Okay, well I have to take the pig out of there. I see. It was that bad. Person literally ate an apple to disappear. Well, okay. Well, so long. Please don't forget to celebrate Earth Day. And